Hey, chickadees. Today on Mojo Mysticism, we are going to talk about how sacrifice and commitment leads you to a place where you can easily hear the guidance that you're being given. So, come on in and join us. All right, welcome in. So, today we're continuing our theme of listening intently to understand. We're going to allow Spirit to just give us whatever it is that we need to know today. And we've been called once again to pull from Tasha Silver's deck, Divine Abundance. So we're just going to ask Spirit, what do we need to know about listening intently to understand? First card's out. Here's the second card. Let's see where the third card is. So was doing a card reading last night and with a group. And what's interesting is I was using this deck again, called to it, and there's a third card. And what's so interesting is that like the cards were flying out of the deck last night. It was so interesting and so wonderful. So sometimes they fly out and sometimes they just kind of peek out a little bit. So, all right, let's see what we have today. Okay, so the three cards that we have tonight are Divine Source, Sacrifice, and Invite Help. And on the surface, they don't necessarily seem to go together with the topic of listening intently to understand, but they do. So let's talk about sacrifice first. If you're going to have a relationship with anyone or anything, you have to engage in that relationship, right? If you don't have a relationship. So it's just kind of that simple. It takes you engaging in it for it to exist. When we are in relationship with the divine, the sacrifice is the commitment. That's all it is. It's not that we're sacrificing, so many other things that we are so attached to. It's not like that. There can be things that we're attached to that we do need to let go of because they're unskillful for us. But that's not what I'm talking about here. This sacrifice, and in fact, what this card says is sometimes surrender is painful. God's cutting away all that needs to go. This includes illusion, obsessions, addictions. It is a sacrifice to love. So it says the word sacrifice, and yet it's one that we do happily. And in fact, we can't not do it. The only thing we have to do is show up. Just commit, go all in, and show up. Everything else happens as a result of our commitment. So the sacrifice here is understanding that sometimes this can be a little uncomfortable because you're growing on your path, and it may look like you have friends that fall away. It can look like a period of loneliness. It can look like, to some degree, some fear, right? Because things are changing and you are changing. Sometimes I feel like I can't keep up with myself, so, which, you know, that's rough. So, but it's that's the sacrifice that this is talking about. It's also literally talking about things that need to go. So once you enter this path and you are all in, you are going to find your old self falling away, your ego falling away. You're going to find that things that you were interested in before in the past, you're no longer interested in. Like, I am not at all interested in hustling. I used to be a type A hustler. Like, I would get shit done. And I am no longer interested in that. I'm also not interested in balance sheets. I'm not interested in profit and loss statements. I'm not interested in any of that anymore. I am interested in one thing, and that is curating environments for transformation. Full stop. That is it. And I do this in many different aspects in my life, two primarily: the formed world and the formless world. So, does that mean sacrifice? Yeah, it can feel that way. And even these things, the illusions going and the things that you used to obsess about and addictions that you used to have that you're just no longer addicted to, right? Either by making that commitment to cut that addiction and going through the painful sacrifice of moving out of that addiction, or just realizing that it no longer attracts you and it no longer has its grip on you and you just move away from it. So, sacrifice, as I'm seeing it in this reading and the way the guides are talking to me, is that this is what happens as a result of commitment. Okay? And it can be big sacrifices and it can be small sacrifices. So, I don't think I would put this in the big category, but one of the things that I am doing that's been kind of uncomfortable for me is that I have been getting up very early in the morning. I say very, very early, relatively for me, it's very early in the morning. And I have committed to doing what takes about an hour and a half for practice in the morning, just the practice time. Okay, that's not get your coffee and go sit down and think about what you're going to do and get yourself organized. It's actual butt in the seat meditation and practice time. And I am clearing energy. I am resetting my aura. I am, talking to my guides. I am getting information and downloads. I am committed to this practice at a level I have never been committed to in the past. I've gone through periods of time where I've done like an hour of meditation in the morning and that kind of thing. It was years ago. This is a new level of commitment for me. And then I do another round of much shorter practice in the evening as I go to bed. But that has taken some sacrifice. So in that, that's time. I see it as time that I've invested in myself. I see it as time that I've invested in becoming who I am, and re-remembering who I am. And so I don't see it as a sacrifice. I see it as a delight. So, so sacrifice is the first card. It's came out in position 2, but that's the first one that they want to talk about. And then the second one, divine source, which came out first. This card says, help me know that all my deepest needs will be met. Let me trust that you have a plan and the right actions will come. You are my source for all. So this is a deep knowing. Okay? This comes with the sacrifice and the commitment that leads to sacrifice. This is the result of that, is a deep, deep knowing that you are connected. Let me say that again. Divine source comes out of sacrifice, which comes from commitment, and it is a deep, deep, soul level knowing that you are connected. You are connected to God, the divine, the universe, all that is. You are plugged in. Being plugged in is great. I love it. It's a place I love to live. But it leads us to the invitation, which is the invite help card. And this card says, invite the divine to pursue you. Seriously, just say, I'm finally ready, God, pursue me. And that is the invitation that you have made through the commitment and sacrifice and an understanding that the divine is your source. That is the invitation. And you can physically say it. You can say it out loud. You can say it inside. You can say it quietly to yourself. However you say it. I do this all the time. Right? I ask and invite the divine to participate in the conversation with me. I ask for wisdom. I ask for guidance. I ask for knowledge. I ask to see things that I cannot see with my human eyes, but I can see with my mind's eye, with my third eye, with my clairvoyance. I ask to hear the voice of the divine through clairaudience. I ask for all of these things. And I have learned to do that because I've not been one to ask a whole lot of questions. Maybe I've had a little too much pride in my life, I don't know. But I haven't been one to ask a whole lot of questions historically in my life. And I am finding myself asking a lot more questions now, but I'm asking them to the divine. So, how does this work? What is this message, and how does it tie into listening intently to understand? Well, it's pretty simple, really. So if you're not listening to understand, how can you possibly understand what you're being asked to commit to, right? Because just because somebody else does something does not mean at all that you need to do it, okay? So do not have the FOMO. Don't get rid of all the fear of missing out. None of that applies here. You do what you are led to do, and that's it. And then you listen. You listen to that voice. You listen to your clairs. You listen to the divine, and you will then be led further and further down the path. Okay? So don't do something, in fact, don't do anything anybody tells you to do, and especially not anything I tell you to do. Hopefully I'm not going to tell you to do much. I'm going to encourage you to listen to your own divinity and do what that is telling you it wants you to do. That's why this is important. If we listen intently to understand the divine, God, universe, source, all that is, whatever name you want to put on it, whatever name works for you, it's all the same. When you listen to that, and you listen intently to that, you're going to hear the invitation, whatever form it takes, at whatever level of commitment it's asking for. And then you say, yes, I'll do it. And you're not at that poker table putting that dollar in. You're at that poker table going all in. And when you do that, and you know that divine is your source, and you can invite help, and it will always be there. Always, always. All right, chickadees. So, pretty short message today. If you'd like to hear more about ways that we can block, because we can invite help, and it can say, no, not yet. That's our subconscious just putting the hand up and saying, yes, I want you to come here and stay away, right? But if you want to hear more about that, yeah, just put it in the comments, and we can have a whole series on that to talk about the ways that we block ourselves. So But for now, I hope you have a fabulous day. I love you. I appreciate you for being here. Thank you for being part of our community. And we will see you next time on Mojo Mysticism. Mwah.